Hello and welcome to the Grumpy Sound Guy Show. I am your host, Mr. J.R. Everhart. I am the Grumpster himself. This week we are going to talk about the pro audio business moving at the speed of light. And I'm really aiming this toward young guys or people who are just entering into full-time production or something like that. And it really, honestly, this information can be translated to bands as well. So, got some good stuff on the burner here for you today. Stick around. You do not want to miss a second of today's show. Hey guys, if I can have literally 60 seconds of your time here just to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It costs absolutely nothing to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can help us give you more of this content on the free side of the channel. Also, if you're really digging what we're doing here and you're digging the Grumpy Sound Guy content, please consider joining the membership side of the YouTube channel. It costs about $5 a month, so about the price of a Starbucks cup of coffee or whatever. You can become an inner circle supporter of the Grumpy Sound Guy and the content that I'm putting up. We'll get all kinds of really cool one-on-one live chat stuff in there, group chat stuff, all that sort of thing. Plus, you'll get content that is posted there that will never become public, So make sure you get over there and check that out. And thank you for supporting everything that I'm doing here with the Grumpy Sound Guy. Welcome back. So, man, where do I start? This is such a hot button subject. This really kind of came, to me on my radar probably 2 or 3 years ago. Excuse me. When I was interning some guys from a local audio program here at one of our local universities, and young guys specifically. And I mean, I just had a conversation with someone, honestly, like 2 months ago, who was kind of, barking this same stuff to me, which is, I only want to work when I want to work. I have a busy schedule with friends and family. And now this guy that's telling me this is, I don't know, 20 couple years old or something. And he's not married with children or anything like that, so that's, I guess he's letting me know that his social life has priority over his work life. Look, guys, I am all about, we work to live, we don't live to work. Anybody close to me would probably argue that fact with me because I'm kind of a workaholic. But, it's really the reason why I have to have so many guys on a list of, a call list of guys to work with, because no one really jumps at the opportunity to come and work. Well, I got a couple guys that will, I got a couple guys that got their head in the right place. And then I got a couple other guys that kind of just want to cherry pick the cool gigs. They want to cherry pick the highest paying gigs. And they only want to work when they want to work. And the problem with that is that makes it very challenging for me to try and staff events when I just need skilled labor on site. You know what I'm saying? And I've had this conversation with many of my competitors, and they have expressed the same exact thing with their guys. Their guys are saying the same thing to them. It's kind of for the most part, a millennial thing. I mean, I know some Gen Xers that are kind of like that as well, especially if they have some sort of income from someplace else, like if they're on disability or if they're getting any kind of money from another, source, then they really only want to cherry pick gigs and only want to do gigs that they enjoy doing. Look, I don't enjoy doing all the gigs that I do. I enjoyed most of them. I really do, honestly. But I mean, there's a lot of days that I get up and my knees are shot, my back is shot, and I do not feel like, going out and setting up a stage and dealing with band egos all day and the promoter, making me jump through a bunch of hoops that's unnecessary because they think they know how to do my job and they don't. And then you got the booking agents on staff looking over your shoulder and critiquing everything that you do. I mean, it's a lot of pressure, man. It's a job, okay? This isn't recreation. It's a job. And the thing about this business is the biggest opportunities in my experience always come at the most inconvenient times. It just does, I can remember setting and praying for God to open doors of opportunity for me and to, help me build CLP Audio, help me build, my business and my reputation and my skill set, all the above. And the biggest opportunities to accomplish those things were never convenient. They always came when I already had something else scheduled. I've had to bail out of really cool gigs with my band to go do a festival because it was the right thing to do for CLP Audio, and CLP Audio comes first. The band comes second, and I just don't find that kind of hunger and that kind of ambition with guys that are trying to break into the business. I still find an enormous amount of entitlement. I still find an enormous amount of, well, hey, I have a degree in this now, and you never even went to college for this. So, why should I even pay attention to anything you're saying? Well, probably because I'm making a pretty good living at this and you are not, that I have 35 years of networking and bridge building into the world of pro audio, into the music industry, into agents, stable of production guys and things like that you have not done and probably won't accomplish until 6 to 10 years after you're out of school, because that's typically how long it takes to get truly established in this business. I'm not saying there aren't guys that get super lucky, that are super talented, that really come out of school, or they didn't go to school and just had, maybe they came up in a musical family, had been doing this stuff from an early age. Maybe they had a father or a relative that was in the pro audio industry and they learned it from them, and they get a break and bam, they're out, doing this, on the highest levels at a young age. I have seen that. That does happen. But most of the time, that's not what happens. And this even goes for middle-aged guys that are getting to a place in their life where, the kids are grown or out of the house. They're not a musician, but they've always kind of hung around with bands and hung around with their local sound guy and stuff like that. And now they want to make a go of it. They want to break into the business. So I get those guys coming to me and they kind of want to pick and choose too. And it's just not the way the business works, man. It's just not. You have absolutely got to take advantage of every opportunity that comes down the pike. If you don't, you're really just going to leave a whole lot of money laying on the table. Because especially if you're just trying to break into the business, you need to be connected with people who are the most connected with the people you want to be working for. I call them the people who hold the keys to the kingdom. You know what I mean? You befriend them, you kind of get in their hip pocket, and you get with them in a manner to where you're a regular, dependable person they can call on, then, by all means, that's going to get you where you want to go, And when that guy calls you for something and you can't do the gig because you need to go to the pumpkin patch with your girlfriend, or, it's your son's birthday party or something like that, and I've seen all those scenarios play out. Look, man, I get the significance of cultivating your relationship with your girlfriend, cultivating a relationship with your kid. But if you're going to work in this business full time, here is your opportunity to teach your girlfriend and your kid that this is the way it goes. This is how this business works. When opportunity knocks, we go running. And until you can get into a place where you're established and you have a nice thick Rolodex of clients and, that sort of thing where you can pick and choose or send staff out to take care of work, then you really need to tell your son and tell your girlfriend that, hey, we don't always get what we want in this world, And here's a great opportunity for you to, especially your kids, for you to show your kids that, hey, you don't always get what you want in this world. And sometimes we got to make sacrifices. I did that countless times in this business. There's been times where I have missed family things that really meant a lot to me, but it was necessary. And I used that as a learning opportunity, a teaching opportunity to my children to say, look, you know what? Sometimes you got to miss the stuff you want to do in order to cultivate your career, to be able to get where you want to be and how you're going to make a living in this world. If you put in the bare minimum is what you're going to get back. And it absolutely blows my mind as to how many of these young guys, especially the Gen Z guys, are way off the chart, way off the chart. Like I don't know how they're going to make it in the normal world, much less in the production world. Look, the thing you need to realize when you come into any adult working environment is we're not your parents, we're not your siblings. We don't love you in that respect, and we're not going to babysit you in that respect. We're not going to jump through all your little hoops that it takes to be in some sort of working relationship with you. You're either going to work or you're going to go home. Period. You're either going to work or you're going to get sent off the job, blackballed, and the word will get around real quick that, you're not someone people can depend on. The one thing that my competition will ask me the most if one of my guys is trying to freelance with them, because they almost always call me, the one thing that they'll say to me is, does the guy show up on time? Will he work when he's on the job? Or is he just looking to, ride the clock somewhere in a corner hidden so that, he could say he was technically there for 8 hours, but didn't really accomplish much. I just had to fire a guy in the spring of this year over something like that. I had a guy to come out of the union, and he thought that he was going to treat, my world the way he treated the union. And this ain't union, brother. We're all going to do, 6 different jobs. It's just what is required, in this business. If you want to go work at a theater job where you just do one thing your entire life and you jump through whatever hoops the union tell you to jump through, I'm not mad at you, man. You go do your thing, man. I got nothing against the union. I love those guys in the union. This guy felt like because he was wearing more than one hat in terms of being an A2, helping to set up and tear down the stage, things like that, system tech kind of stuff, which kind of goes along with being an A2, that he felt like he should get paid independently for each one of those roles. And that's just nowhere near based reality in anything that we do in this business. Most guys that are working in this business, you're making $300 to $500 a day, depending on how big the show is, what the budget is. I got some guys that work for $200 a day. It just depends on what it is. I usually just pay flat rates. I don't do an hourly thing because I try to keep things simple. And I honestly would rather pay you more if you're worth more than what an hourly rate would give you. It's just kind of the way it is, especially when we're on these multi-day events and I can really give you a nice paycheck at the end of a 3 or 4 day festival or something. I would rather do that than to sit here and look over your shoulder and track every hour and be sure that you're actually working every hour. This way we don't have any of that. I don't have to be the helicopter boss, hovering over you all the time. Do your job, do what you know you're supposed to do. And man, I'll take care of you. I always have. It's the way I do business. I probably pay on average more than most of my competition pays their stagehands, their A2s, and the guys that work with them for that reason. And if you talk to any of the guys that work for me regularly, they will tell you that one thing that you never have to worry about with JR is getting paid. Most of the time, I pay them in advance. If they're guys that have worked with me traditionally and they're dependable and I know they're going to be there all weekend, I have no problem, paying them in advance so they have money to be able to do what they want to do throughout the weekend and, that sort of thing. It's just the way I do business, and I think that also dictates that you answer the phone when I call you. That's the other thing. I want to be a priority on your list of companies that you freelance for because you know that JR is always going to do what he says he's going to do. He's always going to pay you. You're always going to make good money. And the guy's not too awful bad to work for, I try to be that guy. I try to be that company so that I'm prioritized on your list of companies that you're freelancing for. But this union guy I got in, he blew up on me over walking on my stage and saying something about running a 30-foot cable on a 10-foot run, which I really didn't give two rips about, but it triggered him. And, he starts going off on me in front of the client, How much do you think anybody's going to put up with that? Had I not already paid him in advance, I would have fired him right on the spot. But this was like day 2 into a 4-day festival, and he was already paid for the weekend because he wasn't someone that I had a history with, but I kind of trusted him and I kind of played into his bull butter. But hey, that's fine. I shook it off. We got through the weekend, and on Monday, he got canned. So that is what it is. And, in that conversation when I fired him, he was trying to lobby to me about wanting to cherry pick the calendar, only wanting to take the dates he wanted to take or the gigs he wanted to take. He wanted to cherry pick all the higher paying gigs and all that because he had been in the business for, 22 years or something or whatever. Yet he preaching the gospel of 22 years to me all the time. And I'm looking at his work, and that doesn't reflect a 22-year veteran, at least not in mobile production. I guess maybe the guy was just used to being in a permanent install situation, which I know that's kind of the background it came from. But man, it is what it is. And the reality of that is, if anybody, and I don't go out of my way to talk smack about anybody. To anyone else. I haven't really mentioned that to anyone else or mentioned his name to anyone else. But if someone comes to me asking for a reference, God forbid if he ever mentions my name, most of those people always call me for a reference. I'll have no choice but to tell them the truth. That's just the way the business works. That's how this business works at the speed of light. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to, fill in the gaps when it's time to fill in the gaps, and not bail because you're insistent on doing something else. Especially when you're not working every single weekend, for the person. Like, there's only so many events to go around, and not all one company gets all those events. So, I mean, if you're just freelancing with me or with anyone else, obviously you need to prioritize, who you're going to answer the phone for and take gigs for. But when you tell me you can't make it to a gig over going to the pumpkin patch with your girlfriend, but yet at the same time, you're crying for work and you're crying to be plugged into the scene and to meet people and to get to the next level. Man, that stuff doesn't go very far in today's world, man. It just really doesn't. And man, God bless Gen Z, man. I mean, I'm praying for those guys because I have no idea how they're ever going to make it, being so easily triggered, being so, overwhelmed so easily. Man, there's times where I have so much stress on me, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But you know what? Winners pull up their bootstraps, take a deep breath, say a little prayer, and you just keep walking forward and you keep doing the best that you can do. That's how you run a business. That's how you succeed in this business. You can't be someone who's going to stand there and tell your boss what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. There's no world where that's going to work. Okay. I'm never and this is the mistake that Mr. Union guy made with me. I'm never in a situation where I can't pick up the phone and call someone else who can do your job. But I'm trying to cultivate people in my company who I can build not just a business relationship, but a personal relationship with, and someone who will love what I'm doing as much as I do, or close to it. I know no one's going to love it like I do, but at the same time, I'm also the guy that will get his hands dirty and get right down there with you in the muck and the mud and everything else and make it happen. I will. I mean, I'm a very hands-on guy that way, I'm never the guy that's going to stand, at the other end of the campus barking orders at everybody, at the show. I'm always going to be the guy that's in there, trying to, get things done and get things accomplished right alongside of you, I know for a fact that's few and far between. I only know a handful of my competitors that work like that, and I know a whole bunch of guys that have an army of employees and they just point and shoot, point, do this, point, do that, point, do this, point, do that. And that's fine if you got guys that are okay with that. You got guys that are trained correctly and can really get the job done. It's another thing, when you're kind of barking orders, but you're not. I think a leader needs to be in the mud. You know what I'm saying? A leader needs to be there with his guys, trying to get that forward. I know at the end of the day, I'm still the guy profiting the most from this show. I'm still the guy who, but on the other side of that, has everything to lose if this show is a failure. Just is what it is, I'm the guy taking all the risk. I'm the guy paying the high insurance premiums. I'm the guy who is carrying the stress of everything on the job, from the promoter to the band to my crew to making sure someone didn't make a stupid mistake that's going to, cause something to fall on somebody or something like that. And, sometimes things happen, man, and it just ain't anything you can do about it. I need guys that got their head in the game. So I go out of my way to try to cultivate those kind of guys. I go out of my way to try and financially show my appreciation of their sacrifice to my company and their dedication to my company. These are the things that you have to do to make it in this business. You're never going to come in here. There are no holy cows in this business, no sacred cows in this business. There's always someone else salivating at the mouth to get where you are in this business. There's always someone there waiting to come and do your job, in some cases for less money. Never, ever get to a place where you think that you're irreplaceable, because that's when you will get your ass handed to you every single time. And I mean, I have to remind myself of that all the time, because sometimes I get worked up over some of these contracts and some of the clients' demands and things like that, when, it's just all part of doing business. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just got to kind of suck it up, jump through their hoops to make them feel better, even though it doesn't do anything but waste your time, because you already know where their train of thought is heading, because this is what you do for a living. And unfortunately, most of these clients think they know how to do our job, and they don't. We make it look easy, so they think it's easy. They really don't know what it is to get out there in the muck and the mire and to really make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So that is this week's show. I hope you got some good information out of that. If you're a millennial or a Gen Z or a guy, middle-aged guy just trying to get into the business, answer the phone, dude. That's my best advice. When people call and want you, answer the phone. Don't give people the runaround. And for God's sake, don't stand there and bark at the guy who's writing your paycheck about what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. No, when you work for him, he owns you for that day, okay? When I pay somebody $300-400 a day, I own you for the day. If I tell you to get up and go, get me a bottle of water out of the cooler, then go do it. I'm the guy paying you, I know that's not a glamorous action, but it's the least you can do for honoring, my choice to call you instead of the guy down the street to come and work on my events. Now that rarely happens, but if it does, I expect you to get up and move. You know, you're to follow orders. That's how this works. Now, on the other side of that, I'm always open to hearing what my staff has in terms of trying to do something in a more efficient manner and how we can accomplish something better, than what we're currently doing, or any marketing ideas they may have, or maybe they know something about, how to mix. That's something new that I don't know, We have those conversations all the time in our downtime. I honor these guys. I think that they're full of wisdom. I really do. The ones that want to work. And I am looking to pour everything I can into them, but I'm not going to pour anything into somebody who comes to the table with some entitlement mentality and thinks that, they're all that, because I got news for you. I've been in this business 35 years. I'm well established. I easily have over $1 million worth of inventory right now. I got multiple crews going into multiple directions. Most of the time during the summertime, I service some of the biggest accounts around my area, and I am replaceable. There is another production company down the street who would love to have my clients and love to have my work. So all these things I'm communicating to you, I have to live by too. Just the numbers are a lot bigger, and the mistakes have a lot bigger consequences. So that creates a lot more pressure. So hope that helped you guys. I love y'all. I'll see you next week.